Hello, good morning everyone. On this video we are going to review more examples of the use of Marker Plus tools. Some tools that we have not seen yet, like for example the constant. Sometimes we need to define a value, so on the price panel or on the secondary panel, and we need that value for some calculations, like for example if we are interested in trading this double bottom, and we have the intention of buying at this level, so we have a buy. Then we need this value placed on a variable. For that we use the constant indicator. We assign the value and we assign a name for this constant. And we use the word entrada. We see that we don't get anything painted on the chart, but the value is stored on a variable. Then we can use another indicator that we have not mentioned before, which is the line paint, and it only is useful to paint the value of a variable. We can see that we get the value painted at the second panel. We can put it on the main price channel, and we can see that the value was wrong. I was trying to copy 17,450, not 540. We cannot on this version move the value because this is a plot, so we need to update the value of the constant to 17,440, and we get an instant refresh of the painted line. So we are using the constant indicator to assign a value to a variable, and the paint indicator to paint that variable. Now that we have the value, we can do several things, like for example look at the cross of something and this value. This can be a line or the close. For example, we may be interested in the cross of this value and a regression line, so we have a signal on this place. But for this particular case, where we are trying to trade a double bottom, we are interested in the cross of the close of the price. So we get a signal when the price is touching the level painted by the line. We can assign a value just a little higher. Now we can compare this value with the close. I will assign the close variable with the close of the price. We don't put nothing into the input series, which is the same that selecting close on the drop down menu. We know that we can select any of these variables or even an indicator, but for this example we only need the close. we get the close painted at the second panel. Again, we can make it transparent, we can make it white or just hide the panel. Now we can use the crossover indicator and check the close against the variable name entrada. We paint both sides, crossover to the upside and to the downside, and we get those signals. We are currently testing the close against the line. On historical mode, what we get is a signal when the close of the bar switches to the other side. On this bar we get a down arrow, and this is the close of the second bar, we get another. On this example, the close is to the upside and this other close is also to the upside, so we don't have a crossover on historical mode. If we enable the indicator on intrabar mode, which is the default, it is set to false, which is intrabar. Then when we are trading this live, not on historical, we get a signal on the exact tick when the price is touching the other side of the level. Same here, we only get a signal here on live, not historical. And here we have both historical and live signals because the close is on the other side. Same on this bar, the close switches back again to the upside, but no signals on these other two bars on historical mode. Same here. This is an example where we use the constant to assign a variable. We can change the value of that variable, let's say 470, and then we get the new entries calculated. Don't forget that these signals are painted on bar close or on intrabar mode, depending on what we select. Another example, a little more complicated, with more lines, like for example the pivot indicator. On pivots we get several levels, support and resistance levels. They are all the same for each day. And they change according to the previous day values, so we know that during the day they are not going to change. They don't change also with the time frame, so we get always the same values with any time frame. If we want to trade those values, as on the previous example, we want to trade bounces or breakouts. As we can see, they offer very good support. So we can copy those values. On the Ninja version of the pivots indicator, we only get the current day values, but we can use the copy indicator to copy those values. Let's start with the line PP, we select the pivot indicator, assign the correct line, I will use a black line. It was painted on the second panel, so we can move it over the price. We can see that we get historical results, so we can do a much better visual backtest. We can do the same with all the other lines. And there we have the other support and resistance levels for all the historical time. So now we can look for a good strategy to use those levels. Usually you can try trading breakouts of a fair level of support or resistance. This is a good example of a breakout. So we only need to do the same as on previous example. A breakout of one of these lines with the close. And also there's no relation between the levels and the time frame. We can use any time frame. Let's say, for example, that we want to signal breakouts of the black line, then we need the close, as we did on the previous example. I will copy the close with a white color so we don't see it. On the price chart, and now we can find the breakouts. We use the crossover indicator and test the close against the black line. We assign a name to this difference, and we get the histogram with the difference and the crossover signals. Each time we get a crossover, we get an arrow. If we want to trade to signal bounces, just we invert the logic. Hope this has been useful. If you have any question, please post below this video. Thank you everyone. Bye bye.